Hey there, it's Rob, and welcome to Ignorant Trading. Today I'm going to talk about how we can use my signals in order to make profitable trades. Now, here on the screen, you will actually see one of the alerts that we received. It is actually for a stock that I don't really trade often. It's actually one of the new stocks that I'm looking to test out with one of the strategies I've developed. And that is ticker CSCO, as you can see there at the bottom. You can also see some little Doge plays that I made off another strategy. But for you guys, we're just going to be focusing on stocks. Perhaps in the future, after I test out some different strategies with cryptocurrency, we can take a look at those. But yes, we can see that today at 225, we actually had a long entry triggered for CSCO or Cisco. So by the way this is set up, and I'll have more of a text description in the description below, but we can actually, if we just start with this alert as is, we have CT, which is the indicator, and it's operating at the 5-minute time frame. And then we actually have long entry triggered, which means that we want to go long on the position. We see that the indicator was actually triggered at $44.68. And this is just how the time frame comes in through the platform that I'm using. All that it's saying here is going to be at UTC plus 0 time. Luckily with Discord, you won't really have to worry about that too much because as you can see, it'll say at 225, this was actually triggered. So you won't have to worry so much about that time frame. Perhaps we can even remove that. But moving on from that, we can see that this is a frequent signal. And how I define a frequent signal is just something that occurs at least 50 to 100 times within a 6-month or year-long time frame. And we also see the win rate going long as 80%, the win rate going short, 78%. You see the average gain going long, 40 cents or 0.9%. The average gain going short, 0.5 cents or 1.2%. And the average hold time is going to be 5.5 hours going long and 3.75 hours going short. So guys, quite simply what this is telling us, the reason why my signals are so valuable is not only is going to tell us what the win rate is through the time that we're back testing, which you can see frequent signal tested from 5/2/22 to 10/28/22. Not only is it going to show you that, but it's also going to show you on average what you can expect this indicator to do. So when we go over to Robinhood, we can kind of pick our strike price accordingly because we'll know on average what it's going to move. And then we can also look to see how long we should expect to hold it. Now, keep in mind, these are averages. It may be a little bit more. It may be a little bit less. Sometimes it could be drastic depending on different movements. If it goes into another day, like different market news or big announcements. But overall, this is going to be a good tool for you to be able to enter trades. So when we go over to Robinhood, and I'm going to do this pretty quickly just to show you how it works. We're going to go type in Cisco, CSCO, Cisco. We're going to go down to trade and then trade options. From trade options, we're going to pick our expiration date. And because I know that it's early in the week, it's a Monday, I feel like I have enough time on this option. I feel like it's got a really pretty good win rate. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to choose expiration for this week. If it's after Tuesday, I would recommend you go for the 2-week expiration. So that would be November 18th. But let's go ahead to November 11th. And we know it's going to go up 40 cents, right? Or we think that it's going to go up around 40 cents. So I'm looking at this now and I'm like, okay, I only want to put in a max of 30% of my portfolio. Now, typically I want to break this up into 5% trades each, but just for the demonstration purposes, I'm just going to show you sort of how it works and the movements. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to choose the 45.5 strike. We can see right now it has a price, an options price of 33 cents. So I click it. I'm sort of able to see all the different things going on within that specific strike. These are things that we're going to go over shortly. I'm going to hit that buy button and I'm going to go ahead and set my limit. Now I'm just going to set it to 3 and you can see I'm buying 10 contracts. I'm going to swipe up and we've got our limit placed. You can see I'm buying 10 contracts, which is going to be our $300 or 30% of our portfolio. And again, this is just to show you how the process of buying multiple contracts looks. And some other things that I'm going to cover later in the video. So something else I'd like to cover is how we can actually track the movement of a stock without having to buy it. And that's a recent tool that Robinhood came out with that is actually so great for us, because not only do we get to track the price of an option, we actually get to see its history and how it's been moving. So we go to Cisco, right? And we go to the option that we're interested in. If we actually double click it, you can see at the bottom here, it adds to our watch list. We can remove it by double clicking, but yeah, we can add it to the watch list. We can actually go in and, like I said, we can see its history and how it's been performing. And the system will treat it as if we just bought one contract. All right, so we had our option execute. And you can see that we're started off 1% down. So that means that the limit that we set at 3.0, it reached 0.29 and you promptly jump back up. And again, this was really just to show you guys how this worked. Do we really want to trade 30% of our portfolio at once? If you're feeling bold, you can. I don't advise it. I advise that you follow risk management strategies that you can find in the description as well as in other videos that I will be coming out with. But now you can see how things will appear as far as our position and in our little watch list where we added the option call that we don't really own. We have it so we can see its performance. Alrighty, so continuing on, we're able to see that our price is fluctuating a little bit. I did want to show you guys how we can do stop losses. And the way stop losses work is when you hit what's called a stop price, the system will automatically create a limit for you to sell out of the position. So you may be at work, you may not be able to look at your position all the time. Maybe you want to just cover up to a certain loss. And actually right now my signals don't show what's called a max drawdown. That's something that I'm going to be adding in as well. And what the max drawdown is going to do is it's going to let you know how far the stock will go down before we get into eventual profit. So, max drawdown might say 5%. And what that's saying is the stock may go down 5% before it moves into profit. Now, that could be quite detrimental to our options, of course, depending on expiration and how quickly it bounces back. So that's something I definitely want to provide to you guys so you guys know going into it what you should expect with potential losses or max drawdowns. So for us, let's say on this position, we wanted to make sure that we didn't lose more than 25% of our option price. We could actually do the little calculation and see, okay, what's a 25% decrease? It would be about 22, 23. And so I can actually set my stop price at 22. When it hits 22, we'll actually have a limit going to sell all of our contracts at 22. Now, this might not execute because it might hit 22 and it might go lower. So, or conversely, it might, jump up after hitting that stop price. So, want to absolutely sell at that. Probably would want to choose a stop price of 0.23 and then a limit price at 0.22. That's how you would make sure that that limit would go through at 0.22. So if we want to check where our order is or we want to cancel it, we can actually see all our orders, our pending orders on the home page, and you can see the replace order or cancel. We can actually go into our history as well to click on it, and we'll be able to see the same thing. So while we have this position, you can see since we already have a pending order going through, we can't put in another one. You have to cancel an order if you want to put in another one. See now if we wanted to sell at 0.31. Now we're able to do it because we canceled that initial stop loss order. I also did want to take the time to show you guys the stats. Now we can see this if we have the option in the watch list as well. So without having to buy it, we can see all this information, but this is going to show you all your stats with your Greeks and all that. We see that Cisco is starting to move in our favor a little bit. And here you're actually able to see how the bids and asks are going to be changing and updating. Because those are changing, it's going to also change our implied volatility. Remember, our implied volatility is going to depend on the option prices, which is going to depend on supply and demand or how much people are trying to buy the options or sell them. Go. So here, now we can actually see, up to this point, we can actually see my 10 little cells. You can see there on the ask, we can actually see the 10 contracts I'm looking to sell at 0.31. Now I'm going to go ahead and cancel that order because, like I was saying earlier, I want to model good behavior. I don't want to have one trade take up 30% of my portfolio because what if another signal comes in? Now I have to go over more than 30. If I take big losses on that, it could hurt my account. Right? So I'm going to go ahead and sell this position. I'm going to do this the right way. I'm going to buy back in, but I'm only going to get one contract. So you can see here also how the bid and ask are working, right? Right now it's showing 0.31, but I could actually only sell it at 0.3. I couldn't sell it at 0.31. So I have a little simple percentage calculator. It comes in handy when looking for different profit that you want to achieve or trying to figure out how much of your portfolio you should allocate. And for me to put in 5% of my total portfolio in every trade, that's going to be around $50. So just one of these contracts will do. So we go ahead and we put in our buy order, and I'm going to buy back in at one contract. So you see the notification pop down. Our order has executed. I'm back in at the same price. I just don't have 10 contracts. And, really I could have just sold all 9 and just had the one, but I just went ahead and just sold it all. So look at this. This is something I actually want you to take note of, right? I sold the option price at the exact price that I bought it at. And I started with $1,000. Somehow I have $999.97. Why is this if Robinhood is a free trading platform? Well, they actually have to abide by regulatory standards, which I'll pull up the page here shortly, but they have to abide by regulatory standards and they actually will charge you for options contracts. It's just a minuscule amount and a lot better, frankly speaking, that we're spending a couple cents rather than a few dollars. Now, while we're here, I also wanted to mention day trade settings. And because we're not trading all of our portfolio at once, I believe that we should just go ahead and use a cash account. Basically, what's going on here is if you trade with margin, they call it, basically they allow you to trade without having your funds settled. So with any exchange that you work with, typically your funds are going to have to settle after you make a trade. So you make a trade and it usually takes like a day for them to be settled. And so what that means is you wouldn't be able to trade for the rest of the day. Robinhood and some other platforms, they'll actually allow you to use margin and they'll actually allow you to trade on the same day, even though the funds haven't settled in your account. But in exchange with that, and this is actually a regulatory thing, not Robinhood, is if you don't have over 25,000 in your account, you can only do 3-day trades a week or in a 5-day trading span. If you do more than that, they're going to mark you as PDT, a pattern day trader, and you will not be able to do a day trade for 3 months, 90 days. They will not allow you to do day trades after that. So you would pretty much be stuck with, if you buy an option and you want to sell it that same day, you are out of luck, my friend. So I think we should just even avoid that since we're not trading all of our portfolio balance anyway. We're only trading a percentage. I think that we would be best suited switching to a cash account. Now, when you start your account and you bring in money, they just automatically start you off with this margin account. So it's not going to let me change over now because I just deposited 1,000 into my account and those funds haven't settled yet. But I assure you that after my account settles those funds, I'm going to be switching over to a cash account so that we can make however many day trades we want. If for some reason you wanted to live life by the horns, keep this margin account and you're all in on the signals, you want to trade your entire portfolio, then you definitely want to enable pattern day protection. You can see that by the little toggle there, pattern day protection. And that will just warn you before you make that fourth pattern day trade. It'll also give you warnings each time you make a day trade. And we go back to our option and we see that it's actually gone down $1. Instead of it going down 10, with 10 contracts, it's actually gone down just the $1. So we see that our losses and our gains are better mitigated. And just as I spoke, it went down to 28 cents. So I've got my stop loss limit in. This is not the best because, again, if it hits 22, it's going to set that limit at 22 and we won't necessarily be able to sell it at that price. If you want to sell it at 22, you got to create the stop at 23. Why did I lose 3 cents even though I sold at the amount that I bought it for? I thought Robinhood offered 0 fee trading. You got to read the fine print. Let's zoom in here. Okay, got a debit card, Robinhood Gold, miscellaneous margin. Regulatory trading fees. You see that part about the trading activity fee? Right there, that is where we see our little fees. The $6.49 is for like traders if you're making $100,000 trades. When I was making $100,000 trades, I didn't really notice it, to be honest with you, because it's charging you per contract. So we're nearing the end of the day, and I think I just want to get you guys a little bit more familiar with the platform. So we bought at the 1 week expiration, but let's look at some of the prices at the 2 week expiration. Okay, so we see that an option price around where we bought for the 1 week would be the 47.5 call. And let's just take a look and see how it performs. So in the description, I actually talk about how bids and asks can actually be misleading and you could actually end up overpaying if you're not careful. So right here, you can see that we have bids at 24 cents and we have ask of 33. But we see that there's a mark price of 28.5 with a last trade of 28 cents. So a normal trader, you might just come in and when you look to buy, you see that it's at 29, you might put it at 29 and it'll execute immediately. We know that there are people willing to pay for it at 24 cents, but let's see if there are people that are selling it for 25 cents. Nope. All right, let's try 26 cents. We'll throw in 26. Voila. So we were just able to sell it at 26, but have the options tell you, and we would have only been able to buy in at 29 or 28. So that's why I always recommend if you want to get into it now, start at the bid and work your way up to see what people are willing to sell it for. So now we have 2 contracts and our contracts are going to average out to 28 cents because the first one we bought was at 30 cents. The second one we bought was at 26 cents. Now, I do not recommend doing this because what can happen when you continue to add to a position is if that position ends up losing, then you could enter what's known as a wash sale. And so we actually Google this, and a wash sale, and a lot of gurus won't tell you this, a wash sale is if you buy a security you sell that security at a loss, and within 30 days, you buy the exact same security, then it's considered a wash sale, and IRS won't let you take that loss out of your taxes. So let's say, and this actually happened to me, let's say you lose $100,000 and you wash sale that transaction, the IRS is going to treat it as if you never lost that 100,000 taxes. You're not going to be able to take out that tax break. So that's a real thing. And unfortunately, I've tested this out. When you buy on the same day, they'll still treat that as a wash sale. So the way around that I've learned, if you want to continue to add to a position, because let's say it's going down, you still think that it's going to go up, but you just want to, sort of cover that medium price. Like I said, when we bought the 26-cent option price, we brought our average down to 28 cents. So now we only have to go to 29 cents to reach profit. We'll still be selling the first contract at a loss. So we won't be able to buy that back within 30 days unless we want to incur a wash sale. The way around that is to buy a similar stock or like a similar company. Not the same security, like not Class A shares and Class B shares. Google has some. If you look at Google, they have Class A shares, Class B, nothing like that. When I say that, if we had Coca-Cola, right, and we think we might take a loss on something we have there, we could actually look at Pepsi, and we would see that generally these companies, they're going to follow similar patterns, right? They're going to follow similar trends. If one goes up, it's likely the other's going up as well. So that's a little way you can get around the wash sale rule for now, is to just buy a very similar stock. It could be Nvidia and AMD. Any stock that is, direct competitor with one another. You can kind of see like Visa, MasterCard, they're going to follow similar trends. All right, there. Here we go. Tuesday morning, right before market open. We can see that Cisco had a little rise, and it's looking like it's going to start down. I have confidence in our signals, though. Let's see what happens. All right, market open. We start lower. Now, notice that our limit is actually canceled because we have to specify if we want a limit to go into the next day. We could actually do that when we try to sell it again. They give us the option of whether or not we want it to last one day or indefinitely. And we see that Cisco is now jumping up, even though we're at 23 cents. Now, I really don't like this movement because as you can see, we're up and Cisco is still down. So we look at the Greeks and we're kind of noting, we're like, we're up since we bought it. The theta does say that it decays 6 cents every day. So, if we're looking at it that way, it might not be too crazy. It would be at 29 if it was yesterday, but the theta is saying that it's going to drop 6 cents every day if it just stayed flat. But here we go. Cisco is jumping up a little bit higher, and we're now at 24. Like I said, I have confidence in our signals here. But yeah, again, Cisco, this is a recent stock. This is a new stock that I've never really traded before, but I like the potential earnings and profit. And we're going to kind of see together how it moves here. Personally, I want to be really careful because this is election day, and I do expect some pretty crazy movements. This is probably actually not the best time to be doing this video, but I want to go ahead and get these signals out to you guys. And I can already see so many different areas of improvement and making sure that we're able to track our profit. So I just want to keep it fresh. And this was one of the first signals that I got after updating how the signals come in. So just bear with me a little bit here. We'll continue to improve these signals in the format, how I teach and educate you guys, because that's actually really what I want to do. I do love to create these videos and share my experiences. Like I said, I want to be so transparent with you guys because I think that's honestly just lacking from the space. All right, how do you like that? Only a couple minutes, and in that space, we've closed the gap. We're no longer looking at that ugly, 15% drop. We're now sort of in range. And if I wanted to just get out because I thought that drop was ugly, I didn't want it to drop that much just because we were flat. I could sell it at 0.30, which is our break even. But I want to have a little trust in our indicators, like I said. I want to see how this one performs. And yes, just to clarify, this is election midterms, November 8th, 2022. And you could see we are in profit. All right, we could say things are moving continuously in our favor. And for me, knowing that I think that it's going to go up 40 cents, I can kind of guess and see where I think I should be able to sell this out at. And so if we're thinking 40 cents from our entry, which was, it was 44.68, that was our entry. If I'm thinking 40 cents up from there, that should be around $45.08. It would probably be around 40 cents that I could end up selling this at. But I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to end up selling this at 38. Oh, we got a little notification here to tell us that our call is up more than 20% since we've added it. All well and good. All well and good. So far, so good. You can see that we're really trading. We got a total return of 14%. I like it. I like it. So we can go back to our Discord here. And again, I got all these crypto alerts. Don't worry, you guys won't be seeing these, at least to start out with. I do want to ultimately go into crypto and Forex as well, but we're just going to focus stock options trading. That's where I've had a lot of success, and that's where I've been able to do a lot of stuff. You can actually see here that we had a crazy decline. Again, this is trading day. We've had a pretty crazy decline. Whoa, looks like we're doing all right. Here we are at 35 cents. Remember, we got our little target at 38. I'm liking what I'm seeing. I'm liking what we're seeing, but you know, I feel like the little 20% return that I got right now is good enough. I want to show you guys that we could also apply these stop losses and wins. So if we wanted to make a stop loss when we're winning because we think that we could ride it longer, but we don't know if we can have our eyes on it 24/7, we can actually make stop losses still into profit. So that's pretty cool. But again, I'm looking at the stock, I'm looking at my current profit, and I'm like, you know what? I think I'm actually okay with like selling these at 36 cents, to be honest. You know, I don't have the sell indicator coming, but this is where I leave it up to your guys' discretion. Like, it's okay to take a 25% profit and miss out on a 35, 40, maybe even 50% profit. Again, this is an election day. This was not the best day to run this. I do expect some wild swings, but I'm okay with the return that we're going to be able to walk away from with this. So I do want to show you, and this is pretty cool. If I go ahead and I put in a sell for 36 cents, we scroll down, we can actually see my ask of my little two contracts at 36 cents. See that? So if we cancel it real quick, go back, we see that the price moves up to 36 cents, the ask at 38. So my little two contracts is actually showing us the real price, which is 35. I guarantee you I could sell these at 35 right now if I wanted to. Oh, but I didn't have to. It went up to 37 and we were able to sell our contracts at 36. Like I said, I feel content with this because I'm perfectly fine with our first win of 15 bucks. I'm perfectly fine with that. If we go to our history, we're actually able to see the status of the order that was filled. And there's our profit. We've got 2% total for the day, but we actually have a 20% return on that option from 30 to 36, or actually even more because our average was 28 to 36. Remember, I bought that second contract, so we actually sold at a 28.5% profit. Not bad, not bad at all. Like I said, I sold early before a sell signal. The sell signals are really good. I don't doubt that it could find a higher point, but if we're okay with the profit that we've made, we don't always have to follow the sell signal exactly. We can use our own little metrics of risk reward. We could say, hey, I'm perfectly fine with having a 28% gain on this play. This was a good day for me, right? So after selling it, we can actually see that we sold it at the right time. We can actually see that it's down slightly. Now we haven't gotten our sell signal, so if we wanted to, we could buy back in at a later expiration, or we could buy back into what we have and continue to ride that up. This time we only have one contract. I leave it up to you. If you're okay with the profit that you've got, so be it. If you've let's say if you had a position and you were able to double it, right? Or you had a couple contracts, maybe you could sell one of them and keep the other until you get the sell signal. So even if you lose on the one that you kept, you'd still have profit from the other one you sold. There's a lot of different things that you could do. But yeah, we could actually end up buying another week of time with the profit that we made. If we expected that the price would continue to go up, but our indicator is not saying that. It's really just saying that, we're going to hold this for a few hours, maybe a day or two. And we only want to hold it for that long because we only have a 1 week expiration. And here we are. We can actually follow the progress of the 2 week call, which we can see was up 17% since we decided to start watching it yesterday. We can see the one contract. And then we can go for what we just sold at 3.6. We could see that it's moved up a little bit. Could now sell it at 3.7. Again, I expect that the price will at least hit around 45.8-ish. And I'm able to speculate that because of the average gain going long that we saw in the Discord. And we can actually see that it just popped up above 45. Wow, people. So we check a little bit later here. It's now 11:42, and we can actually see that our option is up big league. So we sold it at 3.6, and it was just at 44. It's now at 43. And we can actually see that the price even exceeded our little 40-cent amount that we look for. The price of Cisco, you can see at the bottom, is actually $45.16. So we're kind of able to track this call, 47 call that expires the week after, and see its movement. Wasn't as impressive as the one expiring this week. But yeah, we may have jumped the gun a bit with not waiting for the sell signal. But again, this is a trading day. It's very possible that we could have some wild swing in the opposite direction. Still have faith in the signals, but you got to be careful about those max drawdowns, especially when you're dealing with options. And wouldn't you know, just checking a few hours later, we have a market drop. It's across the board, something that it'd be difficult for indicators to plan against. We could actually see Bitcoin got crushed. It's not a telltale sign of the market, but it's just to say that across the broad spectrum of, a lot of these different markets, we just had this freak drop. Got another signal here. Loving how these signals are coming in. And this signal is actually for NVIDIA. We can actually see that it's telling us that we should make a put on NVIDIA. So that's kind of getting me to think, oh, okay, we might see like a little recovery, but this is likely going to go down tomorrow. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make a little watch list for this. I think this is, again, a very rough time in the market, so I don't necessarily want to buy it, but I do want to track that progress to see what it ends up doing. All right, so much for a bad theta. We're actually not too far from where we began if we'd have just held. And we see this pretty substantial rise back, but nowhere near our tops. Or I guess pretty near our tops, like 50 cents, kind of a whole strike price ahead. But we're not doing too bad, at least with 40 some minutes to go or 39 minutes to go in the market. And look, this is just the game you guys play. I mean, this is the sort of thing where, like I said, I got comfortable with the profits that I took, but I have to recognize that I could be missing out on the larger gain because I didn't follow the sell signal. Or I could have avoided some huge drop that came out of nowhere that the sell signal is going to have to take a stop loss on. And maybe I could keep playing into it. I could keep buying into the contract until that sell signal is generated. So we can see from our highs and lows what the option did. I mean, these are massive swings, and this is what you expect from a 1 week expiration. It gets even wilder Thursday and Friday if you have these type of swings, I promise you. But that's all we have for today at market close. You can see 401. Let's see what happens tomorrow. Tomorrow is Wednesday. We'll have the election results. I'm not going to be too hard on the sell signal, because it's like, how can you predict how the market's going to move with an election? So for this time, I'll be sending out notifications of big market events to look out for and how they'll affect the indicators. Let's go and see how it does tomorrow. I'm hoping our first indicator does really well. That would be cool. But I've had plenty more that do really well. And I'm so excited to get this information to you guys. Like I said, I'm going to be adding a lot more things to give you guys information and make sure that you're profitable, work with you guys to develop your own individual risk management strategies. I'm going to be very available. So yes, thank you for watching this video. We'll see what happens tomorrow and sort of top off this tutorial sort of live trading session so you know what the heck is going on, especially if you've read the description. All right, till tomorrow, ciao. All right, so we go to our channel, and if you recall, yesterday we had a short entry triggered for NVIDIA with ticker NVDA at 142.72. And this is a super rare signal with a huge win rate. It's never lost from the time that I tested it. And it's saying that our average gain going short is going to be almost $4 at 1.6% with an average hold time of around 4 hours. So that puts us at around 10:30, 11-ish today. So if we go back to the app, and if we go to when I was actually able to enter the position, you could see that I started off at a pretty big loss. But we're here in pre-market, and now we can see that the indicator did pick right after all. So if we want to look to see around what we should expect come market open, if we look at the Greeks, we can reasonably expect that with each dollar, it'll move around 22 cents. And so we, just looking at this, think it's going to go down at least $2, maybe $3. So just looking at this, if we go up $2, we should expect the 128 to become 180, which would put us into profit, or possibly 215 at 142. So if it makes it easier for you to calculate it, just add the delta to each strike price above where we are. And again, I'm quite confident in this signal, so this would be one where I would be willing to maybe even bump up the stakes a little bit and risk a bit more. Even if we test back to 2017, it's got a 90% win rate for calls and a 70% win rate for puts. But again, this is election time, so the market's going to act real funny. We will see if there's a trigger as soon as the market opens or when it gives us a trigger. But again, our triggers are usually pretty solid. So I would like to revisit our Cisco calls. It is Wednesday the 9th, 2022. And you can see that we're starting up slightly. I'm hoping that our sell signal will trigger and we can exit this trade a little bit more profitable. But I do expect to see a notification of exit today. Now, if it goes up 50 cents, I can expect that it will be around 44 cents, not accounting for theta. And if it drops 50 cents, then I can expect that it will be around 14 cents. When we actually take a look at our theta, we see that it's 10-cent drop every day. So, if we don't have those sharp movements early on, then we'll start to see that decay come in. And by the time it jumps up 50 cents, if it's near the end of the day, it might just only reach 34 because of that 10-cent drop from 44. If you need a refresher on the Greeks, we got links in the description to other videos that explain it really well. I've actually got this playlist I'll also include that will just give you sort of an intro into options as a whole so you can understand what's going on here. All right, so here we are 10 minutes before market open. And we can actually see that NVIDIA is doing what the indicator predicted it would do. And with this latest update to the price, we're almost down $5 or 5 points. So if we go back to our option and expiration and we go $5 up from 139, we'll see our projected price, or you can take the delta and you can multiply it by 5 and just add it to the price. So like I said, just going off the movements, I know that we'll be at the 287 option price if NVIDIA goes down to that 5-point number. Whereas the option price will be around that 251 option price if it stays at around the 4-point number. So we're about to have the market open. And we can actually check Cisco while we're here. Oh, nice. Had the little jump. So we'll see how the sell signal goes. Hopefully we can sell in profit. That would be a great little tutorial. And here we go. Oh, and what do you know? We have the short exit triggered for NVIDIA. We can also just keep this just to see what it would have been. We know that it wanted us to sell around the 255 option price with the price of NVIDIA around 141.76. And that's a nice little return, as you see, about 30%. And so we've also got Cisco here. And looks like it's fallen back. We'll just wait to see when that signal comes. But, we've already sold out. We're just watching to see, do we actually have a good sell signal? All right. So it looks like this Cisco call did not work well at all as far as an exit for the expiration on the 11th. Like I said, I was really hoping to see that sell trigger. Again, this was an experimental stock. And like I said, when I kind of saw it open up earlier when we were in profit, but it opened up at 23 cents, I was like, let me play this one safe. But it looks like the sell signal definitely failed us this time. But that's not to say that if we didn't buy a further expiration, we wouldn't have profited. And we'll be able to see that with some of the watch lists that we set up. We have the 47 and 47 and a half call that we'll be keeping up with. And there'll be times where we have signals generated and I will actually post in the group and let you guys know, hey, we should probably just go ahead and take the gains that we have because these are already amazing gains. And I want to be cautious with the market conditions and several outside factors that might cause a poor sell signal. And trust me, there are going to be times where the sell signal does a better job of selling out than me. I actually say most of the time it's going to give a better sell signal than me. It just would appear that at this time, that's not the case. And I picked a better sell exit. That's not to say that we couldn't have chosen a further out expiration and won. But for this particular trade, it would have been a loss and a significant one at that. But of course, this would have been caught by the stop loss or stop limit that we would have placed on this trade at 22 to say, hey, we don't really want to go further down than that. Perhaps it does sometimes go down a percentage that we've seen similar to this, and we have nothing to fear. Maybe it will start to move in our direction later today or tomorrow. Because when we look at it, the stock actually hasn't gone down that much. The stock has actually only gone down 1%. But in this case, with the options, it is quite detrimental to us. So that's where those stop limits would come in place that we would put early on. And I'll make sure to let you know what sort of max drawdown we should see with the stock before you should be worried. And then we can kind of do the calculations with the individual options that we're purchasing to say, okay, if the stock goes down this much, this is what my stop limit needs to be. So if we go to the 2-week expiration calls, we can actually see that they haven't been hit that much, and they're actually still in profit. This is something to keep in mind. The 1-week expirations, again, are going to be much, much more riskier than the 2-week call expirations. There's a greater chance that the stock will hit the strike price with more time. The 1-week expirations are going to be very risky because you have to be pretty much there at the right time. Otherwise, you're going to have to deal with decay and you're going to be fighting back mostly to just get back to break even. Trust me, this is something that I've dealt with so often, and it does become frustrating or stressful because the time is against you. And you're like, please just go the direction I want. I know you're going to go that way ultimately. Just do it for me right now. I mean, just look at it. We're talking about being down 60% with the 1-week expiration versus being down 20% right now. So this, we have more time. We think it's more possible that Cisco will reach this price given another week. All right, so here we are approaching the end of the day, and we can actually see that our Cisco call for 45.5 is down to 8 cents. That's rough, but we still haven't seen the sell signal come. We can see that our NVIDIA put was right on the money. We actually could have made quite a bit more profit if we held. So that would have been a good situation of if you bought more than one contract at the same time. If you could have sold one of them when we were at 30% profit and just put in a stop limit so that if you lost the second one, you'd still lose it in profit. You could have caught more of that gain. Going back to Cisco, we can see that the $47 call is still doing all right. It's hanging in there. We weren't hit as badly. The 45.5 call, that's down 75%. We're down on that option. So personally, I'm not really comfortable with that. I think that when you get around 50% down in an option, we should look to do a stop limit, especially if we're on the expiration of that week. If we have more time, we can afford to maybe roll the dice there. But I think 50% is typically a good number to sell out. And wouldn't you know, we have the next day, an hour before trading, and we have this miraculous rise in stocks due to CPI news. A lot of people are saying inflation data news. I'm going to give some of the credit to our indicator because I do believe that if we didn't have a lot of this shaky market news, that it would have picked a good entry for Cisco. With these market conditions reflecting back, it wasn't the best entry point because we saw a huge max drawdown. And you can actually look at this. We're going to now be in the money because Cisco is up $2 on that 45.5 strike price that we got. So hopefully this time we see the sell signal come out. If not, I'm going to need to make some adjustments on that Cisco call because that's ridiculous. We should definitely be able to sell into big profit after this. And we got a minute before market open. I'm looking forward to this. We see that everything is up. We're going to look to see those sell signals come in, or new signals, new buy signals for other stocks. I'm excited. Sure enough, here we go. Got some new alerts popping through. We could see some calls for QQQ, a short on Disney. That was a lot of indicators that came through. Let me just check to see if we were triggered out of that Cisco call. Yes, there we are. You can see at the very bottom. Long exit triggered for Cisco 45.70. So that's nice. Added another win to the repertoire. Now that was a dollar gain, so not quite the 40 cents gain that we get on average. Again, I think that was pumped up by the recent market news, but I'll take it. I love that our first signal that we looked at was profitable. That's awesome. And that's more or less how it goes. You would see that sell signal and you'd be able to sell out, and we'd see that we would have, if we sold out when it told us to, we would have been able to sell out at actually 49 cents, which is pretty wild. So it actually did find us the best sell signal, right? I sold out at 36. It would have sold us out at 49. And if we had kept jumping back in, we would have been able to ride some of those gains on the way up. Guys, this irks me. So I hate it for myself. I predicted a drop immediately from this rise. And you can actually see I tweeted about it. And we got that Disney put immediately at market open that if I'd put in, I would have turned 36 to 128. And it's just one of those things where I wasn't quick enough. And I know that's frustrating. Sometimes you're not. But with these signals, and that's why I'm so glad to get these out to you guys, there's so many different opportunities that will rise. And you can just see here on the screen all the indicators that were generated for us. I mean, we got short exit triggered for QQQ. That was actually probably sold at a loss because of this big gain. But yeah, super heated that I missed out on that. I'll catch the next one. Okay, guys, quickly, I'm taking a risk trying to show you guys, but I had a long triggered for SPY. And I need to fix the text here because that makes no sense. It should be long exit. But anyway, it's triggered a sell for us. And as you can see, it actually got me a 10% gain. So there it is, giving me a day trade warning. But I'm going to change my account to a cash account. So that will be a thing of the past. But I'm really mad I didn't get into this NVIDIA call here. This NVIDIA call at 146.79, you know how we just got the exit for the put? We just got an NVIDIA call, and this one has a pretty good win rate. But if we go to the NVIDIA calls, one of the calls I was looking at was this 152.5 call, and I was looking at it at around 50, and here it is at 96. That's already a double. You can actually see here where it shows 47. I missed it. I missed it around here. Now it's doubled. That's tough. What are you going to do? Sometimes these signals, they need to be executed immediately. Sometimes you have a little bit of leeway and you're able to find a better entry point. And that's why I'm saying that I'm going to be very much descriptive with max drawdowns you can expect if you need to get into this immediately or if you have a little bit of time. So that's something that I'm going to be adding to the indicators because I believe that will enhance the experience tremendously. Like, look, guys, I'm trading these too. I want to be transparent on all the trades that I made. And I want to show you when I lost. I want to show you when an indicator was wrong. All right, because it's 80% or it's 70 or 60% for a reason. There are going to be times where it's going to miss, and we're trying future data, right? In the past, that's what happened in the past when we got that win rate. That doesn't necessarily mean it's going to translate to the future. That's just giving us some sort of basis as to what it could do in the future if those market conditions remain similar. All right, so we want to take a look at that NVIDIA call at 152.5 strike price that I was initially looking at around 50 cents. And I showed you that it reached 97 or whatever the case was, almost doubled. Now it's at 242. And our sell signal just triggered. So that would have been a 50 to 200 play. So if you had $500, that would have turned into $2,000. If you had $5,000, that would have turned into $20,000. Whew, that's a hard one to see, right? We can actually see that when it triggered around 9:30, 9:40 at 50, and when we go to 11:30, how it reached around 200 or $2 to not confuse you. So that's what it is. We had around 2 hours on that signal, and that was tremendous gains. I mean, for some people, those are life-altering gains, right? I mean, if we only had $50, we still would have earned 200. Wouldn't it be great if you're part of a group and you're able to just pay off your monthly fees over the course of a couple hours, one of the days, and you're still able to stack up all the rest of the days? Thank me later. All right? Because I really think through this experience, you'll get a feel for how to trade options. And then even from these strategies that I've created, I hope to encourage further research and exploration. I love talking to people about this stuff, sharing ideas. And ultimately, I think the goal is to get in a position of profit that you're able to trade and risk profit. Have fun with this thing. There are chances that you could make life-altering gains. I think the ultimate goal should be to take profit and put it into long-term positions that you can not have to worry about checking so much. I mean, we can do long period calls, like calls that expire in 2 years, and we could see some pretty tremendous gains as well. I want to create strategies where we can look to buy and sell options over the course of months, maybe even years. That way you're able to ride up when the option's doing really well, sell out, buy back when it goes a little bit lower, and just wait for that sell signal as it takes you up further and further. That way you're not taking as much risk and you're still making a lot more than if you just held the stock. So with it being Friday, I wanted to show you guys the normal life cycle of an option. And so we go to our Cisco 45.5 call that our signal told us to sell out of, and we can see that it's now worthless. So we can go back a week, we can go back a month to sort of see how it performed over the course of that time. We got our 47 and our 47.5 call expiring next week for Cisco that are hanging in there. But again, our sell signal would have told us to sell out of those at its peak. So we would have been good there. And oh no, don't look at NVIDIA right now. Actually, our sell signal told us to get out too early. Now, this is, again, unprecedented gains, right? Market news was really good. Stocks are really up across the board. This type of gain is insane. I do see this with NVIDIA in particular every month or every couple months. That's just insane. But welcome to the power of options. We have some life-changing gains around here, and I'm going to get you some across the screen now. For legal purposes, I got to say that these signals are for education purposes. The risk is up to you, how much you want to invest, and what you really want to do with this information. Now, I know you're looking at my account and you're saying, how the heck did he get from 1,015 to 1,260? So that was actually thanks to a stock called QQQ, which represents quite a few tech stocks. And I felt really confident in this, obviously, because it had a 94% win rate. I knew ahead of time that the average gain was going to be $1.80. And, we had this note that sometimes it's a day early, but in my experience through all the other live tests, it's been right on time. Rest assured, I'm going to be taking a look at the live tests that I've committed so far with this, and also the back test to update these notes. But the other reason I felt really good about this was because I also had an SPY call generated 20 minutes after the QQQ one. This was after I had already purchased the QQQ call. Now, I would have purchased an SPY position as well, but there were two things blocking me, right? First, I'm still on the margin account. I want to switch that over to a cash account as soon as I can. And the second thing is because I've already used up 30% of my portfolio, so I didn't want to extend that number. Anyway, I felt really good about holding my QQQ call after I saw the SPY call. And the reason is because they kind of follow the same trend because they represent a lot of the high cap tech stocks. So that was my reasoning behind going all in, but I don't recommend to put in the whole 30% for your position. I actually recommend putting in 5% per trade like we were doing earlier. And hopefully they'll consist of more than one signal that we'll receive in the Discord. You can see some of my screenshots here of the performance of our indicators, but if we go back to Robinhood, I've actually already set Watchlist on a lot of these options. So at least for QQQ, we'll know what it does after I sold especially since this was one where I didn't yet receive the signal to sell. I do want to see what it would have told us to sell at, and if I would have made more profit by just holding until I got the sell signal. So if we go into our history, you'll be able to see that I actually did buy in at 300 and I sold at 550. So we can actually see that I bought the 300 at 1035 and I sold at 1050. So that was a mere 15 minutes that we saw the 70% gain that allowed me to make those gains. So just another case of things going right. And perhaps you also saw that it generated a call for PDD. Now you got to see this because this is really cool. I didn't even know that today was going to be Singles Day, right? Because it's Friday, November 11th. We got the 11, so it's 1-1. It's sort of like China's Black Friday. And we can see that the entry was triggered the day before at 2:30 with a price of $63.48, while the exit came at $67.50 at market open today. So if you'd have bought in around 2:30 yesterday and sold at market open today, you would have seen this absurd gain of around 300%. So these signals are doing really well. I'm going to post them loud and proud on my Twitter as soon as I get the Discord squared away. Thank you for joining me for some live trading. This was a great experience. I know there's a lot of content. I'm going to be breaking up these videos as well, especially as far as the tutorial is concerned. I'm the ignorant entrepreneur. I'm all about making some ignorant gains. All right, people. You'll hear from me again real soon.